One of the last areas that I really want to touch on with content is repurposing great content. Repurposing is probably the easiest way to take something that works over there and regenerate it in a new, interesting way and put it out over here. And over here means potentially on your distribution channels, your particular social handles, or whatever it is that you're trying to draw attention to. Because again, you can see through social proof that it has done well in different places. So most content is derivative. Derivative basically means an imitation of something. When you see a creator that is creating something, it's often not completely novel. They're just taking different concepts and repurposing them. Now, there is a reactive versus a proactive version of marketing, and often there's a lot of reactivity within the world of content because there's trends, there's new things that are coming out, there's concepts that weren't done before or are just reinventing of new things that were kind of just in the past old and now they're fun and new again. I often see people just taking a slightly different angle or take on something that exists or outright copying. And I just want to put it out to you that it is possible to do that. And it's relatively easy to do that too. And people think you're a genius. So the repurposing of great content workflow is as such. You can build thought leadership extremely fast by finding it. So you have to find highly engaged posts. You have to collect and categorize. And usually that takes grabbing the URL and making sure that you're categorizing it by pillar, theme, and format. Then you're repurposing and you're rewording the material so it's not an outright copy. Now, you could potentially just copy and paste the same way, and I will show examples of that. And then you distribute it, meaning you publish across your channels or inside of other groups, and you're essentially claiming it for your own. I am not an advocate of stealing. I am saying that this is how you find inspiration and make it your own. And there are lots of places to do that. In one of the previous modules, I literally showed all the different places that you can go to find that stuff. I'm going to highlight some of my favorites. There are websites that are strictly aggregators where you can literally go in and find some of the highest, most engaged posts that have come out that are on a specific topic that you can literally go, oh, I like that. Let me just literally grab that, throw it into my favorite LLM and have it reword it. This is Taplio, and lots of people use it just for that. And this is a top content by niche. You can literally separate out by the different niches and it'll throw stuff up for you. Pretty crazy when you think about it. The next one I'll cover is LinkedIn influencer lists. I have extracted massive amounts of LinkedIn influencers that are separated by individual category. These are by category, and you can see the primary industry and function as you scroll all the way down. There's literally hundreds and thousands. So if you find an area that is of interest to you, you can go right into their LinkedIn URL, check out what they're publishing, and see if it's relevant or interesting to you, and then rework pieces of their content. Again, I'm not saying ethically that I am advocating for people to copy. I'm just telling you what other people do in order to generate lots and lots of content and seem like they're visionary when all they're doing is kind of grabbing other people's stuff, reworking it, and publishing it. Inside of content inspiration and tools, I've highlighted a lot of the other ways that you can go about finding really interesting content, and many of those are listed here. I often try to find great content where it exists in the wild, and it is really on to you as to whether or not you want to go down those rabbit holes. But I have put together a ton of resources in order to find really awesome, great content. So, determining which types of content to repurpose and why is often the challenge. And I think the easiest one to select is what is easiest for you. Often, when it is not narrative based, it is usually subjective and therefore anybody can rework it. Some narratives actually do work quite well. It just really depends. So, as you start looking through this content, determine which pillars or which types of content, which themes are not relevant for you and are not going to be things that you feel comfortable posting. It's up to you, and often you can't really pick up somebody's humble brag post, which is them talking about all the career milestones they've hit, because it's going to be very obvious that you didn't get those results, you didn't get those career milestones, you don't have necessarily the same things that they're trying to demonstrate in that particular post. As you continue to work your way through and see other great content, you'll recognize stuff where it's like, well, that could literally come from anybody. And the answer is like, yeah, of course it could. So when collecting posts, there's lots of different ways to do it. You can save it within LinkedIn. I think that's one way as you're coming across it. The other way that is a lot more organized is building up a curated content sheet. So I've given you a link to that here. This basically allows you to capture just the URL. If you want to throw in the text, that's fine, but you can also run this through any of your favorite LLMs that have access to the internet, and it will basically strip out all of the information here, and then you can rework this using a few different prompts. Really, really basic stuff, but it works really well. And then eventually you can schedule your updated versions of these posts to be published on a fairly regular basis. So you're not having to go in and create content every single day. You just do it in large chunks. So what does this look like? Basically, what you're doing is you're collecting and categorizing by specific post. You have your main pillars outlined. You've gotten into specific themes that you really like. And then you have the formats that you tend to get the most value out of or see as having the highest potential for engagement. So you plug in those particular posts into a prompt and you run it through whatever your favorite LLM is, and then it is inside of your curated list. That's how we start. After that, it's time for us to rework the content or repurpose it using AI, and you just need to pick your favorite LLM, add the prompt and the post URL, and the raw text sometimes does help, and then you run that LLM and you check and adjust. Sometimes you have to create other parts of the post or other media in order to really make it make sense, and then you throw it into a scheduling sheet. The reason we use a scheduling sheet is it allows us to go from that into a CSV format into a scheduler like Buffer, Publer, Hootsuite, whatever your go-to is. It's really easy to do this stuff. I would spend quite a bit more time demonstrating this in a content creator course, but just so you know what it looks like a standard spreadsheet, but you have the ability to put all this good stuff in here and generate endless amounts of posts based off of only a handful of like really great posts that you've seen. It's crazy how easy it is now with AI. Before publishing, I often try to run through a quick checklist. Now, this checklist can be run using AI, but ultimately, I think there's always a good human element of a glance and a check over to make sure it feels like everything works from the standpoint of grammar, spelling, structure, elements, accuracy, and a call to action. But maybe you also want to actually check the links so that you're not putting out a bunch of stuff and finding out it put out errors or 404s or links that don't actually exist. And of course, if you're trying to put out prolific content at scale, I always try to add a visual to go along with any text. So lots of different kind of avenues to take and easy ways to really publish this stuff at scale. So when I'm publishing, I tend to go with Publer. I've added a link in here for Publer, and basically it allows you to put URLs to your content, and that can come directly from your content calendar. You're basically able to pick a tool. I've again picked Publer. You import the post via a CSV document, and then you're basically scheduling and publishing at scale. There is a fully automated way of doing this. I am reserving that for if people are really into what they're seeing here and understand the value, then yeah, I'll create a whole content creator program. But for now, I think that's a lot. So a lot of people are like, but isn't this stealing? Okay, let me show you something. This is a number of saved This is a number of different saved posts from LinkedIn, and it's all conceptually the same post. It's just been slightly reworked where everybody's saying Microsoft PowerPoint is dead. And you can see everybody's putting a slightly different image that they have used some type of either Canva or other visual LLM that allows them to generate a new looking image to basically all use the same text in the same post. Nothing is new anymore on LinkedIn, and there's no such thing as duplicate content. I I was flabbergasted when I saw this post. This post occurred like on rapid scale. When something goes viral on LinkedIn, lots of people just copy it like directly. So this is like a cute story about basically a CEO. So I was recently reached out to a CEO, sending him 3 emails over the span of a couple of weeks. He replied to my third email saying that if I contacted again, he would send me an invoice for the time he had to spend dealing with my emails. Just a friendly reminder to everyone, when a sales rep sends you an email or catches you on the phone, you can politely say no thanks. You don't have to be condescending or treat salespeople like inferior human beings. They are grinding and putting in work so that someday they can be like you, running large teams and fielding sales inquiries on their own. Don't forget where you came from. I love kind of the concept. LinkedIn pushed this because obviously there's lots of people that spam on their platform, but this isn't anything clever or creative. Often I think this is kind of gross because you have a bunch of people that are grossly basically stealing from one another. So you can see lots of people are doing it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And lots of people are rewording and adding their own little personal touches of don't forget where you came from or summarizing. And then it's like, okay, and now you're selling your, I don't even know what that is. Incubator? I have no idea. Don't forget where you came from. Like absolutely absurd. It's everywhere. It's all the time. And just because it was new today doesn't mean that it didn't come from somewhere years ago. Lots of people are doing this, and it's literally everywhere you go. I'm telling you, lots of people are constantly taking from one another, repurposing and putting it out. It's the internet. That's how it works. So if you're trying to do this for a company at scale, I've done that so many different times within my agency, and I also create these content pillars with themes. This is a version of what you would see in a Miro board. I'm not going to go through it because obviously we're not creating content for companies, but yes, the whole process here is you find top creators in a niche, you gather a lot of the content that you like, and you categorize by post. You select the AI tools in the stack that you want to use, you rework the content, you document your workflow, and then you schedule and publish your post. That is the whole game. Again, if you want to be a pro content creator and this is interesting for you, then please let me know somewhere in the Discord, and I'm happy to start getting this thing going.